Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. I am Koala and this is my little nook in this end of the universe that we call YouTube. I am a shamanic practitioner, mainly within Nordic shamanism, but I'm also initiated into Nustakarpai and the Munaki rites within the Kero medicine, and I practice light language. So I'm here today to talk about Ran, and in this video I'm going to talk about who Ran is, I'm going to talk about my relationship to her, and I'm going to talk about how I celebrate her, because my celebration of her is coming up. So those are the three things I'm going to stick to in this video, hopefully. So Ran is a Nordic goddess. She is the goddess of the sea, and I celebrate her once a year at the beginning of August. It sometimes, or maybe always, coincides with Lammas or Lunesad, depending on what tradition you practice. I celebrate Ran, the Nordic goddess of the seas, of the oceans, in August every year. And I'm gonna read something from something I wrote, because I don't have everything in my head all at once. So I'm gonna read that out loud, and that is a text that I sent out to my subscribers of my newsletter in Swedish, because I hold ceremonies for honoring the goddesses, all of them, 8 times a year. It's not all of the goddesses, but around 8 or 9 times a year I hold these ceremonies for Nordic goddesses. So this is the text I sent out as an invitation, and it explains a little bit about who she is. And the reason I wanna read this out loud, even though I'm gonna have to translate it myself as I'm reading, is because there are names in here that I would never remember, because there are so many, and definitely not when I'm trying to think in English. So Ran is a sea and death goddess. She is married to the giant Aegir. Ran captures the drowning people with her big net. Those who have drowned she takes to her halls at the bottom of the sea. Every Nordic goddess or god seems to have halls, don't they? And in her halls they spend their afterlives. So this is quite interesting, because we have other goddesses and gods that also take people to their halls. Like we have the Valkyries that harvest dead people on the battlefield to take down to Hel. We also have and her halls, and then we have Freya, that is a Valkyrie, and she brings dead people, the dead souls, to her halls in Folkvang, in the upper worlds. And then we have Odin, of course, that takes people to Valhalla. So we have a lot of halls, and Valhalla in Swedish is Valhall, and that is hall. So yeah. Together with Aegir, Ran has 9 daughters. So these are the names I was talking about. And they have names of the different types of waves. And these are not all, they're not like modern Swedish words at all. So one is called Himmingleva, which means the heavenly clear. And remember that this is name of waves, or that is connected to the water. So heavenly clear means like the water is so still and clear that it is reflected in the surface of the water. Duva, which possibly means duva, which is dove in Swedish. In English, I'm not sure what kind of wave that is. I have to look it up more, because so far I have worked with Ran herself. This year I plan to invite her daughters as well to my celebration and get to know them a bit deeper. So the next one is Blodugada, which means the one with the blood in her hair. and I think you can maybe see, it's not it's an analogy or a symbol of death on the seas, or like drowning, but it's also the shade of the sea when the sun sets, you know, as it's setting and it's growing closer to the horizon. It's almost like an orange reddish, and the water gets that color. The next daughter is called Hefring. Okay, so there are 3 ones that doesn't really have a translation, and I don't really know what they are called in modern Swedish as well, so I can't really tell you about that, but this is something I'm gonna dive deeper into. If you want to know more about these kind of things and do your own research, you can look up Old Norse tales and Old Norse books, like Snorre Sturlason's book. What is it called again? I'm gonna look that up and I'm gonna put it on the screen. Snorre Sturlason's book that I'm thinking about. So the three goddess daughters that doesn't really have a translation is Hefring, Un, and Rön. And then we have Bylgja, which means bölja, which means it's this motion of the sea. This is when the sea böljar. So this is the motion. So the waving of the waves. I don't know the English term for that. And then the next one is, so there's 2 left. Next one is Bora, which means vågtopp, and vågtopp is the top of the wave, so up here. So that's the name, her name, vågtopp. And then the last one is Kolga, and that doesn't have a translation either. But they're all somehow connected to the waves, to the seas, to the color of the seas, to the temperament of the sea. And these 9 daughters are also connected to the currents of the seas. And so they have names of the from waves, or that corresponds with waves, or the surface of the ocean. But they are a part of the sea, just as Ran is. So Ran, the goddess Ran, is a goddess of all the seas, and also she's like the goddess name for the body of water. So when we worship the waters, we worship Ran. And then her daughters are different currents, different, I would say, my experience with them so far, they are different temperaments of the sea that is reflected in the names of all of the 9 daughters. My relationship with Ran is long. I have worshipped her and worked with her for a number of years now, but during all of that time I have just briefly touched on the daughters and invited them into my life, maybe one at a time, briefly, or when they have been a part of my ceremonies and they have shown up and I have let them be there. I think I've actually been a bit afraid to bring them into my life even more because of what water stands for in Nordic tradition, with all the emotions and waves when it comes to emotions and intuition. But I'm looking forward to diving deeper into that. So I have a long-standing relationship with Ran and a relationship with water and the element of water. And I have worked a lot with her, as I said. So one of the ways is this ceremony that I hold every year, or this celebration. So I do hold, like I said, ceremonies for people where people can join. And this is something I'm gonna offer next year in English. So not this year, 2025, but next year, 2026, I'm gonna offer this in English as well and invite you to join me in these kind of ceremonies. So these ceremonies are part of my celebration, and sometimes it's the only part of my celebration, where depending on what goddess it is, and if I know how much time I have, but these ceremonies I really schedule and make time for, and then the rest it just falls into into place sometimes at the last minute. So I do enjoy visiting a body of water when I'm gonna work with Ron. Sometimes I don't get to do that, and sometimes the water comes from the skies instead. Okay, so editing Koala here. I feel like I just want to add that when I celebrate Ron by myself, I most often go deeper. And that is with all the goddesses, I go deeper, which means that when I hold ceremonies for other people, we go into meditation. As I've spoken about in other goddess videos, we meet the current goddess, like the goddess we are celebrating at the time, in the middle world, and we do that by going into meditation and inviting the goddess into our space, because that's the safest way of doing it. But when I work alone with the goddesses, I go deeper, so I go to where they are, and it can mean, like with Ron, it can mean I go to a body of water and explore that together with her in a ceremony and a sacred space that I open there. It can also mean that I do a shamanic journey to meet Ron deeper within myself, or deeper in the 9 worlds. So yeah, just wanted to add that bit. I think I've covered all of the questions I wanted to answer today. Who is Ron? I have answered that one. My relationship to her, I think I've answered that one. And then how do I celebrate? And yeah, that's how I celebrate, and that's how I'm gonna celebrate today. In the past, I've held ceremonies by the water, and I have held ceremonies indoors with like bowls of water, or sometimes I just do a meditation. It can look different from time to time. So, do you have a relationship with this goddess or her daughters, or do you worship another goddess of the seas, goddess of the ocean, goddess of water, or god? Tell me all about it in the comment section, and I will see you in my next video. Walk in beauty with the water around you and inside of you. Singling.